Start your day the best way every morning on 99.3 Nigeria Info. You are welcome if you're just joining us. Well, you missed quite a lot because we started at 6 a.m. But this is the time we look at the stories making it to the front pages. And on this side of the table, I have the Daily Independent, the Daily Sun, the Guardian newspaper, as well as the Daily Trust.
I have the Vanguard here. The Nation is also right in front of me, and this day newspaper.
And we are live on Facebook, also on YouTube. You can watch us there. Leave us your comments on the headlines that interest you. You can also reach us via WhatsApp 08095975805, 08095975805. Twitter is at Nigeria Info FM, and we'd love to talk to you there. I am Wemimo Adewuni.
I'm Sheriff Quadry. Let's begin this morning's show by introducing our guests on the program this morning. Gbolahan Olojede is here with us.
Good morning
to you.
Happy to be here again.
Welcome.
Let's start with this lead headline. It's virtually in all the papers this morning. At swearing in of new SANS, judiciary not free. We beg for funds. CJN laments. It's on the front page of the Vanguard newspaper. And on the front page of the Nation newspaper, CJN, judges overworked, underpaid. We are too... okay, I can see this part. The Nation is a paper. You can go and check it out. CJN judges overworked, underpaid. Can you see it?
I'm not wearing my glasses. You're wearing yours. So you should see it.
Okay. From this day newspaper, Supreme Court won't be subservient to anybody, says CJN. Riders makes case for financial autonomy for judiciary. 3 years after, Nguta resumes Supreme Court's seating. That's from this day newspaper.
And we have the story also here on the Daily Independent. Financial bondage crippling judiciary, says CJN. Says he won't tolerate disobedience to court orders. The story is also here on the Guardian. CJN seeks financial autonomy for judiciary and others. On the Daily Trust, CJN warns against disobedience of court orders. You find these across the papers today. Well, just before we came in, I was saying that I'm not sure that the three arms of government actually operate as if they are equal. You know, it's like the executive is the eldest brother, is the senior, and then the legislature seems to be the second child, and then the judiciary is the last child. Who can give instructions? Of course, the other brothers can kick out the instructions or not. Now they're saying they don't even have enough funds.
It shouldn't be so. Otherwise, they will not be effective at what they're supposed to do, which is to check one another. These are systems of checks and balances. So once one is superior to the other, then one starts to look up to the other, or one becomes dependent on the other, which is what the CJN is saying when it comes to money. He who pays the piper calls the tune. That is the truth. So if I know that you can strangulate me,
right,
I probably will defer to you in certain matters.
In this case, when we're calling them equal arms of government, why should we say who pays the piper dictate the tune of the song?
Why should anyone pay the piper dictate the tune?
Why should there be anybody in charge?
That the CGN is saying this in the public, because the public needs to know. The vote, the money for the judiciary should be allocated directly from the consolidated federation account.
Right.
That is the way things should go. Not that it will be at the mercy of the executive to say, oh, we don't have this much, so this is what we can give you.
Right.
Because when you give those kind of a power to the executive, it could be abused. I'm not saying it's been abused, but it could be abused.
Well, the CJN made raised a valid point as well. In his speech, he said that, you know, the era of not obeying court orders is over.
And here I was thinking, so what's the CJN going to do? If the executive decides not to obey court orders, like he's been known not to do, what will they do?
Another question is the CJN attempting to say that court orders have been flouted in the past? I
can mention quite a number on the tip of my
Is that the implication? Because when you say court orders are being flouted, the government will tell you, no, there's another court order here, there's another court proceeding here, there's another, they will always come out to say that this case is still in court. So no order is being flouted.
Nah.
For him to say that, he knew exactly what he was talking about. And it's not just this administration, we have to be fair on that.
Right.
The issue of the executive, which goes back to this matter of, is the executive superior to all the other people?
Right.
I think the executive is the eldest brother. I sincerely think so. In this thing that we do.
It is not the intention of the law. And
Right.
now when we have gotten to that junction where you even have the head of a legislative arm saying, I will report you guys to your boss.
I will report you to the president. Oh, God.
And they are the people who have the right to make these laws.
Right.
Whatever is hampering them, whatever is making them subservient or making the judiciary subservient to other system, we need to deal with that matter and
Right.
make them to be effective at what they're supposed to do. Check, balance.
Right. He also made a fantastic point here. Let me quote him. He says, the rights of every citizen against any form of oppression and impunity must be jealously guarded and protected with the legal tools at our disposal. All binding court orders must be obeyed. Nobody, irrespective of his or her position, will be allowed to toy with court judgment. And here I am, rubbing my hands together in glee.
Let's
and waiting.
hold him. Let's be able to
I
hold
can't
him.
wait to see this happen.
To remind him of this statement
It's
when
going to
we
happen
get to
soon.
those junctions.
That junction is just around the corner. We're almost
we'll
I'm
see.
sure. And look at the next headline. Nigerians divided over calls for Showere's release. Defeat him with superior ideas, not persecution. That's a writer here on The Guardian. Odua youth gave 21-day ultimatum. No government would allow call for revolution. These are writers on this headline on The Guardian newspaper.
Well, you can find the same story here from Vanguard. Well, similar. FG arranged Showore today. Select witnesses. That's the front page of the Vanguard newspaper.
Let me read a bit of this story from The Guardian. Mixed reactions are trading the calls and protests for the release. I believe there's going to be some protest today for the release of the presidential candidate of the African Action Congress, Yele Showore, after the expiration of the 45 days granted by Federal High Court Abuja for his detention. Showore, who is also the publisher of Sahara Reporters, was arrested in Lagos in August by DSS for calling for revolution against bad governance in the country. The DSS sought 90 days to detain the activist, but the court granted 45 days, which lapsed recently. Okay, on to beat the 45 days detention order by the court, which was to end on Saturday, September 21st. The federal government on Friday filed a 7-count charge of treasonable felony, cybercrime, and money laundering against Showore. Let's emphasize, I looked into at the charges. There was no charge for insulting the president. I don't know where that came from.
Yeah,
it was
those
all over.
media
There was
sensation.
no such charge.
Right.
There's nothing like that in our laws anyway,
Right.
so it wouldn't have made sense for anybody to do that. Having said that, I think Showore has made his mistakes in the past. What you can get away with as the student union leader of University of Lagos is not the same platform when you are a defeated presidential aspirant.
Right.
And the state has gone for him. And they said, okay, I'm going to charge you for this and this and this. If we are charging you for this and this and this, under the laws of the land, I can hold you for 90 days. So they went to court. So under this terrorism act, the law allows me to hold this man for this number
What
of days.
act of terrorism did he commit?
That's the question. So
Did
yes, they presented him before the court.
Exactly.
It was the court that said,
granted
okay,
that ex
hold
parte
him
order.
45 days.
That's
So
right.
thus far, things have played out good.
Right.
But Nigerians are looking at how it will play out today.
Right.
And this is the issue. If the court says this gentleman is entitled to bail, leave him, then we will call on that talk by the CJN in case the executive decide to hold him.
Well, let's talk about optics now. So Wale Showore is a very vocal personality in the political space. I mean, everybody knows that he is a publisher of Sahara Reporters, and you can also attribute Sahara Reporters to so many controversial, news stories and events in Nigeria. True or not true, it's the reputation that he's known for. How does this look for the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria at this point in time, knowing full well that Wale Showore stood against him in the last election? What are they? What?
The president will clearly tell you, I have absolutely nothing to do with. Have you heard him say anything?
Which I think is a smart move.
Yes, there is a security and intelligence operate agency.
Just to be clear, the president is also known not to be speaking. He's also known.
Yes.
I think it's smart that he didn't say anything this time around.
Even with his vice president, he's still not talking.
Yeah.
So the president is known for that. The president is known for not talking.
Except for when he travels. And we're looking forward to him speaking at the UN General Assembly.
So it's good. The whole idea is that, look, as a president, I'm not the one to call DSS or to call this and say, go and do your job. They should do their job.
Right.
And they are
Investigate.
doing their job. And they have gone through the process and have gone to court, and the court granted whatever they wanted, and they are coming back to court today now that the 45 days has expired.
Right.
When you look at it, the legal list has been fulfilled.
Right.
Oh, well.
Join us at 8 o'clock. We'll be talking about democracy and dissenting voices. Can you speak as loudly as you wish? Where should you draw the line? We're talking about some other bloggers and activists who some of them have quote-unquote disappeared. No one even knows where they are. Join us at 8 o'clock for that.
I learned that states,
Yes,
some
states.
states were
As a
arresting
matter of
journalists.
yes.
And charging them for treasonable felony.
treasonable
That seems
felony.
to be the thing now. We'll talk about that at 8 o'clock. Let's see this story. $9.6 billion judgment. Malami meets Nigeria's legal team in UK.
$9.6 billion verdict. PNID offers to negotiate with federal government. We have writers here. Nigeria to pursue case
Finally.
to logical conclusion. Delegation to allay investors' fears. That's from the Nation newspaper. From this day newspaper, Nigeria foreign legal team plot strategy to stop PNID's $9.6 billion award. The writer Malami Emefiele in London renew battle for more royalties from oil majors. This day is the paper just below the nameplate. You find that one.
So here are the officials that have gone to the UK. The Attorney General and Minister of Justice, Abubakar Malami. Also, Inspector General of Police, Mohammed Adamu.
That's
CBN Governor, Godwin Emefiele. Minister of Information, Lai Mohammed. And Acting EFCC Chairman, Ibrahim Magu.
Yeah, I don't know what Lai Mohammed is doing there anyway.
So you can pass us some information from there, I guess.
How about the IGP?
The IGP is important because that's an investigative agency.
The EFCC is also
EFCC
important.
is also important. Likewise, the Attorney General
Right.
and CBN Governor. On the CBN Governor,
He couldn't have escaped this.
Yeah.
I mean, it's money we're talking about.
Yeah, we had a case in which that particular organization said, I invested this much money in the deal. So if only to go and tell them that the CBN never saw any amount of what you said you invested, it will be required.
And the EFCC will be there to prove that we just took them to court in Nigeria for tax evasion and other issues.
Some people have even been convicted, on the matter. Let's see how this plays out. I just wish and strongly desire that 1 naira of Nigeria's money will not go to this organization.
But the PNID offers to negotiate.
No, it's nothing to negotiate. That is the truth. There's nothing to negotiate.
Just yesterday, it wasn't in news that the federal government is going after the son of the owner of PNID.
Queen.
Well, if they can find complicity, if there is any way it comes in. Otherwise, there's nothing you can do if he didn't get involved.
So here is the thing. This same son had extended hands of fellowship to the federal government to come for negotiation in Spain, to resolve this amicably. Then only for it to come out yesterday that the federal government is after him.
Yeah, if it's a part of the deal.
If it's part of the
if he
deal.
has questions or answers.
Well, it's a deal. Hello? It's a contract signed. Hello, what are we talking about
We're trying
here?
to prove that it's a scam deal.
Exactly. You cannot build something on nothing.
Absolutely.
If the base itself
Check
is zero, forget it. There is no deal. There is no negotiation.
You don't think
a fraud is a fraud.
You don't think it's a little too late? I mean, there is a
I
court.
don't think so.
Hold on. There is a court judgment already. So whatever it is, we're proving to what benefit?
Because we can say that the judgment was wrong.
Because the premise was wrong.
Yes.
So the whole thing,
The
which is why we have
wrong.
all these government officials
you had
in
your
the
chance
UK.
to prove that.
We
We're taking another
blew
chance.
the chance. No
And we're
doubt
taking
about
another
that.
one.
And we're
creating
another one.
I'm sorry, but I'm a
Essentially.
Nigerian too. I'm sorry.
Pessimism. Daily Trust, federal government investigates breach of Nigerians' privacy by Truecaller. This must be one of the first. I mean, this is the first time I'll see Nigeria investigating an app. So here it goes. The National Information Technology Agency, NITDA, has commenced investigation into the breach of privacy of Nigerians by Truecaller. NITDA, in a statement signed on Monday by its Director General, Kashifu Abdullahi Inuwa, said the caller identification service was putting, quote, many Nigerians in unsavory conditions. Mr. Inuwa said initial findings revealed that Truecaller privacy policy was not in compliance with global laws on data protection and the Nigeria Data Protection Regulation in particular. Are we waking up?
And then
I'm excited.
The consumers, the Nigerian consumers, are they aware? What is the space of citizens' education about this kind of things we're talking about?
I'm so glad that NITDA is talking about this. I mean, we're talking about this.
It's good that we're talking about this.
Maybe from here we move to
Maybe
Facebook.
we move to being able to
Twitter.
to sensitize the people themselves.
Right.
They need to know. If you don't know, a lot of data is being collected every
They're
day.
saying here that Truecaller service collects far more information than it needs to provide its primary service. We've talked about cybersecurity on the show several times, and many people give up more information. In fact, some of those apps
without knowing,
because they don't read.
Right.
They don't read. You just install an app. Many of those apps listen to your conversations, read your text messages, view you through your camera. Your life is practically with them.
So here is the thing: to have access to that much information is one thing. To use it illegally is another thing.
Entirely.
So they offer you choices to either accept those terms and conditions, and you did. And we're saying that they have access to too much information.
They have access to too much
Have they
information.
misused those information?
Like you said, you have access to information. That is one stage.
Right.
What did you
do with
using?
Right.
Did you get the consent of the owner of that information to use it for the purpose you use it for? Is the purpose what you could have used it for in the ordinary course of such information, or you use it beyond that? Information today is a whole lot different from what it used to be. I was at a conference a couple of years ago, and the guy at that conference was telling us that it is actually possible using big data analysis of all those things for a bank to tell someone that you're about to have a divorce.
Right.
Yeah, it is possible.
Yeah.
Very possible.
So
let me give you a gist. So at the weekend, I was speaking with my husband. I didn't know my Google Assistant was up, and I just said, "Oh, we need to buy rice." Guess what? It spoke out and said, "I have found stores near you." I was like, "What's that? What's going on here?"
That is how naked we are. Even without us.
We're so exposed.
All those information.
And information is
there.
life. I'm glad we're finally waking up and looking into these apps.
Similarly, there was a headline yesterday about Nigeria trying to establish AI, an agency for AI and robotics.
Fantastic.
Interesting.
And a lot of people came after Ogbonaya Onu.
Why?
So here are the arguments here. This is not part of the headlines. Again, we're sorry.
Just side gist.
And they said that, why are we establishing agency for AI and robotics? We have schools that you can actually fund. We have professors that you can actually give research grants to. We have students that you can
agencies
actually, sponsor.
This
well then
that is how it works.
Yeah, you need
You're not going to go and locate
But we already have
in University of Houston.
We already have. What is Ogbonaya's ministry? Science
and technology.
So why can't
it's
you
an
use your
agency?
ministry?
It will be an agency under that ministry.
Why do we need an agency?
Well, what's
Because
wrong
it's
with having an
specialized.
agency? Because
It's a specialized thing.
I remember that.
Do you know how many agencies are under the Federal Ministry of Finance?
Isn't that why we have universities of technology in this country?
But then
Sherry,
that agency would oversee.
I agree with you. What those agencies would normally do is to pull these eggheads from wherever they are onto that agency.
Okay, so again, we also have Ministry of Education.
Yes.
Yeah.
What are we now talking about? Why do we need an agency?
Exactly
for
what he's
AI and
saying.
robotics?
That's why we need an agency.
Why?
We need an agency because this is a specialized area and you need focus. If you want focus, you have to do something like that.
Let's talk about something that will make you focus. Okay, our time is running. Border closure. You can argue it out till we're done. Let's talk about border closure. 500 trucks of perishable goods stranded at Seme. freight forwarders, saying that on the front page of the Daily Independent, also on the Daily Sun, border closure, prices of food items soar by 52%. We are dying. Traders, consumers cry out to Buhari on the Daily Sun.
To what benefit is this border closure?
Well, I see some entrepreneurs celebrating on social media and saying
You
it's
know what I'm
good for
saying?
us. Many people are buying from us now.
You know?
It's more expensive, but people are buying.
You see, that is the nature of public policies. There is no single public policy on earth that everybody is happy with.
That
It
will have
doesn't
100%
exist.
It can't
acceptance.
even ever
If
happen.
you fix Oshodi, some people will complain that their
Right.
shops have been destroyed.
Yes.
Even if you give us power today, as
Right.
much as we love power,
Right.
some people are out of business and they will complain.
That's
No
right.
generator, no this, no that, and that. So the border closure thing, some people it's on their good side, to some others it's on their bad side. If I need to sell outside of the borders and I have perishable goods, and that is where my market is, and I've not been able to get there,
Right.
it's a problem for me. So I will complain.
So I know a lot of people who have goods at the borders, I mean, for months now, who can bring them in, and their monies are just stuck there. So their businesses are practically
So people
drained.
who have guilt, don't let us forget the fact that some of our neighboring countries have become haven for smuggling goods
absolutely.
into
Yeah.
Nigeria,
Absolutely.
and there's a major effect on Nigerian investors.
Absolutely.
No doubt about that. But let me be frank. At this stage, I can assure you that this thing is becoming a scam.
Oh, okay.
Yes. What you have when you have a prolonged situation like this is that people start to form cartels. So you will see the custom people, security operatives on both sides, border agencies
Becoming
on
the
both
traders.
sides, and the traders in cahoots, agreeing on how to beat the law. And guess what? If there is enough money on the table, things will happen.
For how long do you think the borders will remain closed?
I don't think we are doing the right thing.
We should
I think we
open
need
the
to
borders?
sit down, review it thus far, and agree whether this is what we really want to continue, or there are other things we need to do. We cannot. To me, it doesn't appear that this is the right way to go.
Let's go to Niger Delta. Niger Delta contractors indict NDDC. Talking about agencies over project. This is on the front page of the Daily Trust.
Well, I think that's about it on that story.
Okay, contractors handling projects in Niger Delta yesterday alleged that the Niger Delta Development Commission engaged in sharp practices. The contractors spoke separately yesterday at a public hearing organized by an ADA committee set up by the House of Representatives to investigate cases of abandoned projects awarded by the NDDC over the years. They were invited to testify and make submissions on contract details by the Nicholas Osai-led ADA committee on failed contracts and abandoned projects awarded by the Commission since 2000. The alleged connivance by banks and some elements in the NDDC to bargain for cuts from contractors.
Well, 10% is not new in Nigeria. The kickbacks and all the stuff. There's nothing new
But according
about
to
it.
Shoyi Makinde,
Yeah.
it's more than 10%.
I-
If what the governor of Oyo State said, it's about 70-80% cutback.
Yeah, it's quite unfortunate, but I don't think we have been determined enough to face this thing squarely and deal with it. How many people have we brought to books for this contract scams? And it's going on and on in practically all sectors of our lives.
Right.
It's not just an NDDC affair. Of course, Sheyi Makinde wasn't talking about NDDC when
Yeah.
he was saying
Right.
it. So,
Right.
so it's everywhere.
So the issue about
Perversity.
this NDDC is the fact that they're in a 1 trillion naira contract debt. How did they come about that? NDDC, the Niger Delta, is the only region in this country that has a ministry to itself. You have governors taking excess crude accounts. There is so much money being pumped into the Niger Delta, and we're talking about 1 trillion naira in contract debts.
Let me tell you how they got it. One of the contractors said why. He accused the NDDC of awarding dubious, emergency, and unaudited contracts to extort money from contractors.
It's possible. Everything is possible. But the question is, do we probe this and do we get people punished for it? Or there's so much money on the table that even the agencies that are supposed to probe, the investigative, everybody gets enough share and we're all happy. That's what seems to
Everybody
be
just
going
comes
on.
to the table and share money and just go
In
away.
fairness, despite the fact that we don't have restructuring, blah, 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 the money that goes to the South is still a whole lot. Let me give you
It
a
is
number.
a whole lot, yes.
For 2018, the money that River State collected is more than
Sorry.
7 years total revenue of Osun State.
7 years.
Yes, 2012 to 2018, the total revenue of Osun State. The total revenue of River State for 1 year, 2018 alone, is more than 7 years.
This
of
is why
Osun
we
State.
say that citizens must ask their governors,
Yes.
a lot of questions.
So we must begin to ask questions at those levels that if you have this much money,
what are you doing with
what
it?
are you doing with
Our
it?
president has spoken. I expected that he will. Let's just take this on the final note. Buhari unveils plan to reverse climate change effects in Nigeria. This sounds very interesting. And tell me how. It's on page 41 of the Daily Independent. He
That
says,
must be his presentation.
Yes.
I watched it.
yeah,
I
he
watched
said,
it.
let me see a breakdown. We will take concrete steps to harness climate innovative ideas by including youth in decision-making process as part of our overall climate governance architecture. We will mobilize Nigerian youth towards planting 25 million trees to enhance Nigeria's carbon sink. In the water sector, Nigeria will issue a green bond for irrigation and construct multi-purpose dams for power, irrigation, and water supply, and so on.
Okay, very good statements. Let's take it away from we will, and just
do.
it, and that's the way to go. If Ethiopia has done how many million, 300 million or something trees, what is Nigeria waiting for?
Well, Nigeria, this is where we are. Thank you, Gbolahan, for joining us on the show today.
It's been my pleasure.
When we come back from this break, democracy and dissenting voices. How loudly can you speak as a citizen? And should you speak? Where should you draw the line? Treasonable felony. That's a charge going around the country right now. Join us after the break for this and more. I'm Wemimo Adewuni.
I'm Sheriff Quadry.